This is 13 ABC Action News with Bill Hormann.
Good evening. Big storms making news tonight, and that's where we start. There's damage to buildings, trees are down, tornado warnings posted in 3 counties at one time. We have a team of reporters tracking damage. Our weather team is also here, and we're following breaking news out of Texas tonight, where police say at least 27 people are dead, dozens more injured after a shooting in a church. We'll get to that story in just a minute, but first, Jay Burschbach and Ross Ellett tracking severe weather that's moving through the area. Gentlemen.
Coming up here in a few more minutes, Bill.
All right, thanks, Ross. Well, our team coverage continues with our reporters out in the field. Heavy winds caused some severe damage. One trouble spot in Vickery in Sandusky County. Meteorologist Ben Cathy rushed out there. He has more on what he has seen. Ben?
Ben Cathy, 13 ABC Action News. Now, back to you, Bill.
All right, thanks, Ben. You know, most of the time when you hear that heavy weather's moving through, you tend to stay home. Fortunately, that family didn't do that. Another place where we did find some damage was out in Archbold. Bridget Burnett continuing our team coverage from Western Fulton County tonight.
Bridget Burnett, 13 ABC Action News.
More on that coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. We did talk to a spokesperson with ConAgra. We're told the company will not be in operation tonight, nor will it operate tomorrow. Findlay police dealing with a lot of damage down there. These are pictures from Ralphie's. The building sustaining serious damage from the high winds that blew through. The Findlay mayor's office issuing a statement tonight. The north side of the city of Findlay experienced significant damage during the storm. We are currently evaluating the situation. First responders are on the scene. The Hancock County Emergency Management Agency has been contacted. As more information is received, we will communicate further, says Mayor Lydia Mahalik. Residents in Wauseon also dealing with power outages and downed trees. In fact, officials say it is not safe for residents to leave their houses to start cleaning up just yet after a child was injured. 13 ABC's Heather Pauloff live with the latest on that. Heather.
Bill.
All right, Heather Pauloff reporting. Thanks, Heather. Storms, of course, knocked out power in several parts of the area. In Lucas County, for instance, some 2,200 customers sitting in the dark right now. Fewer people impacted up in Michigan. Only about 100 folks in Monroe County have no electricity. Hancock County Sheriff Michael, we're also getting reports of high water in Putnam County. As we get more information on that, we'll pass along to you both on air and online. We may talk to an emergency management official in just a few minutes, so sit with us. But now we want to turn to breaking news out of Texas. The First Baptist Church in Sutherland, Texas, the scene of the deadliest mass killing at a church in modern U.S. history. At least 27 people were murdered. ABC's Brian Clark says the gunman is dead.
Brian Clark, ABC News, New York.
Busy news day. We'll have more on this mass shooting later tonight on 13 ABC Action News at 11. But coming up at 6, Toledo fire and police go at it on the hardwood.
Next question for Bill Hormann. It is for Mayor Hicks Hudson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Before the primary, you held a press conference with an array of other elected women, encouraging women to vote for you because you're a woman. If Mr. Kapskavich had held a press conference asking men to vote for him because he's a man, he might have been called sexist. So my question is, how is Toledo served by trying to carve out special voting interest groups? And could that lead to a sense of a lack of unity and a lack of legitimacy in your government? Yeah, down here at Democratic Party headquarters in downtown Toledo, anytime an incumbent mayor is on the ballot, the results are always a referendum on your job performance. What do tonight's results tell you about how you're doing?
I think it shows that folks see that the city is moving forward.
The latest numbers have you at 40% of the vote. The dark cloud to the silver lining is 60% of those who voted tonight did not vote for you. What does that tell you?
That tells me that I've got more work to do.
Diane, for the mayor, this is a huge test. Remember, she's run for mayor twice, in a special election and then in September's primary election. Neither time did she get 40% of the vote. 60% of those voters voted against the mayor. She needs to get 50% in order to keep her seat tonight. But we've analyzed this race, and we've come down with 3 advantages that each of these candidates may have tonight that could have their supporters feeling confident. For instance, for the mayor, Democratic Party endorsement. She has the money, the manpower, the apparatus, the data research that the party can provide. She's the incumbent. She's mayor. She can actually run for mayor while she's serving office as the mayor. And she of course, has minority support, particularly in the central city, which she represented for years. And she also made a direct appeal to women who tend to vote in larger numbers than men. Now, Wade Kapsakavich, the challenger, he has some advantages as well. Considers himself the outsider. He's young, he's experienced at the county level, but he can also say that he's not to blame for any of the problems he sees in the city. He's done really well with fundraising. He's raised a lot more money than the mayor, can spend that money on TV ads and print ads, but big spenders do not always win races. And then there's the political mood. People are fed up with both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. Wade is not the endorsed Democrat, but he is still a Democrat. He's proud he didn't get his party's endorsement, though, because he feels that means he'll be unshackled as mayor and would only have to answer to the taxpayers. But let's look at this. Either way, a Democrat is going to be elected mayor here. There won't be much in the way of policy changes because their philosophy is the same. So, Lee and Diane, this mayor's race in Toledo could come down to personality. We'll find out how it comes down just a few hours.
Right now, these lanes are 9 feet wide. But the plan is to create an extra 3 feet for each lane. 4 lanes plus a turn lane, 5 lanes, 22 feet would have to be taken out of Ottawa Hills. A traffic mess so bad police said stay away. 2 major highways were tied up, the latest on the situation on Interstates 475 and 75. Plus, that was sleet tinkling your windows last night. So is any snow or sleet on the way tonight? And Ohio Governor John Kasich hits the Sunday talk shows again. We'll tell you what's on his mind.
This is 13 ABC Action News with Bill Hormann.
Well, good evening. Traffic was tied up a couple of hours ago, but we have an update as we begin tonight. A 5-car crash had traffic backed up for nearly 2 hours this afternoon. Here's the spot. It's the on-ramp from 475 east to 75 north. Now, the accident has been cleared away. The road reopened about an hour ago. But while police dealt with that crash, drivers were moving at a crawl's pace. It was so bad at one point that the police actually called our newsroom and asked us to issue an alert to tell you to avoid that area. No word on any injuries at this moment. But again, the accident at 475 East getting onto 75 North has been cleared and traffic is moving. We are also following new developments from the Iran-Iraq border where a deadly earthquake has been reported. The Iranian government estimates at least 60 people now have been killed and more than 300 injured. The quake measured a magnitude 7.3. We'll have more details on that earthquake as soon as they become available. All right, now we want to turn to the weather and the coldest weekend of the season so far. We heard sleet tap the window overnight. Now we're wondering if there's any snow or sleet or freezing rain in the immediate forecast, Ben.
In just a few.
All right, thanks, Ben. Well, we're following a big story from last week. 3 days later, and still no word on what sparked an explosion at a salvage yard in Napoleon Thursday. One man was killed in a blast at the Hog Reef salvage yard. Now, the state fire marshal's office is assisting with that investigation, but so far, no determinations. In Fairfield, Ohio, near Cincinnati, 5 people were stabbed in a nightclub brawl. Officers say several gunshots were also fired inside that bar during the fight, but nobody was hit. Police are reviewing security video as they continue to look for suspects. Ohio Governor John Kasich appeared on the Sunday morning talk shows today to discuss a variety of issues, among them health care and gun violence. Kasich talked about Republican efforts in Congress and in the White House to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He says it could backfire on Republicans in next year's midterm elections.
Then I heard who the heck is thinking that that's good?
Kasich supports reforming Obamacare, not repealing it. He also talked about gun violence and said he'd get experts on both sides of the gun rights issue together to find a common sense solution to that problem. We'll hear more from the governor on that tonight at 11. A number of constitutional amendments have been on the Ohio ballot over the last few elections, but now state lawmakers want to make it more difficult to get amendments before the voter. They insist that will keep out-of-state interests from influencing laws here in Ohio. Some lawmakers are proposing a resolution increasing the number of signatures needed to get an amendment on the ballot. Police in Bowling Green want to prevent alcohol sales to underage customers, so officers are training bar, restaurant, and store employees tomorrow. The training session happens from 5 until 7 Monday night at the police department in Bowling Green. You'll learn about civil liability, liquor laws, and fake identification cards. There's a number to call if you want to take that course. Ohio is one of the country's biggest wine producers. It's the 6th biggest, in fact. But if it wants to continue growing as a wine producer, a winemaking expert says Ohio needs more vines. Todd Steiner directs the winemaking program at Ohio State University's Agriculture College. He says our cold winters kill vines, so he suggests Ohio plant more vines so that we have more vines that survive the winter. Right now, Ohio produces 6 million gallons of wine every year. Still ahead, Me Too in Hollywood as hundreds rally against sexual assault. And the president answered more questions about Vladimir Putin just before a big trade and diplomatic summit.
Diane, we're focusing on the alley cleanup. 1 year ago, the first alleys were cleared out, but 1 year later, the city finding some success. Toledo has 120 miles of alleys. Many are cluttered with illegally dumped trash. For the last year, crews have targeted these trashed alleys. It's an effort we've been following since last April. And it is a mess. We found bottles and carpet, mattresses and speakers, tires and shoes littering this back alley at Grand Avenue and Smead. 1 year later, that mess has been cleaned up and a vacant house and garage torn down.
Usually vacant houses are an attraction to illegal dumping.
And there are a lot of vacant houses along this alley and all across our city. It's a battle the city is determined to win, one alley at a time.
We want to keep an eye on them, so we plan on revisiting the alleys we identified last year and working to make sure that they stay clean.
Encouraging improvement?
Yes, but slow improvement.
You may remember Michelle from our story last year. She complained about this alley and the city responded, and now she sees potential.
I wouldn't mind doing a community garden, over here.
And a chance to make her small part of the city better.
I guess we have to take one block at a time if we're going to, improve the inner city.
But as we've seen, success can be measured by how many alleys you clean, how long they stay that way. Now remember, you are responsible for the area that backs up to the alley. You can be fined $75 if you don't clean it up. The city's doing its part, needs your help as well. United North announced today it is postponing this year's Polish festival on LaGrange Street. That's a sad announcement for some ladies who are very active in the Polish community.
I bought big potatoes so you don't have to peel it. So yeah. It's a one big hand. So.
Yeah. A culture survives through its people.
You have to be strong and keep going.
And their traditions.
We're using our own recipe to be Polish as possible.
And in Toledo, the Polish culture has thrived thanks to ladies like these. Staying busy making pierogies and kraut balls.
They consist of kraut, pepper, lots of pepper.
Each is active with various Polish groups. The Polish festival is a highlight.
It was like a big family reunion. You had the Polish music, the Polish bands, the Polish food.
For more than 30 years, the Polish festival on LaGrange was the big event for their community.
What's that smell? Stanley!
There are still a lot of Polish people left in the neighborhood.
But today, bad news. United North, which has run the festival for years, announced today that it is reevaluating and doesn't have time to plan this year's festival.
I'm disappointed as anybody else, really.
People have complained about security and fewer crowds, even talked about moving it off LaGrange Street. The festival was a time to introduce the culture to new people, a time for kids to perform after working hard all year learning an ethnic dance.
It's hard for them to just come and practice if they don't see the results from it,
But this year, no festival. And the concern is once lost, it will never come back.
It dies slowly, but pretty soon, is it going to be alive? Is there going to be any Polish culture left?
But can a culture really die?
She didn't have enough fill in there for nothing.
With ladies like these?
And all of a sudden, I'm telling her, I've made hundreds of pierogies today.
Those ladies were delightful. The pierogies and the kraut balls they made are being sold at a fundraiser at the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America Hall on North Detroit, April 7th.
It will take Polish events like that to make up for the canceled festival, if that's even possible, Diane.